So we're staying inside for the Chinese New Year's. Yesterday on New Year's Eve, we went to our friend's house and had a lovely dinner that they prepared for us. But today, we are staying inside because of the coronavirus. Over 800 people have been infected so far. If you do go outside, you want to be prepared. You want to wear a mask. You need to wash your hands. You need to make sure you're not touching other strangers' hands. So that's why we're staying inside for the New Year's. We want to try to stay and be healthy. But Natasha's preparing a lovely dinner. We're going to watch a movie. We're still going to enjoy being in China. Natasha gets to sit right behind me. What did we get?
Socks and sandals. So we just wanted to tell you guys a little bit about our last days in China and kind of how things went down. We were in China during the pandemic, or when the pandemic hit. Obviously we were there prior to. Now that they know it was also evident in December of 2019, we were there to help build a learning center and a teaching program. So the footage is pretty sporadic.
The plan was we're going to go there, we're going to explore a neighborhood, because that's something we do a lot. If we're going to be somewhere longer, we explore the area to get to know where we're living.
Right, we kind of had a list of places we wanted to go and things we wanted to do, and our first 3 weeks there was actually pretty busy.
What's amazing, we ended up getting invited to a bunch of dinners where a bunch of people treated us to these dinners, and there's a bunch of food there. What else did we do?
Went to a learning center. We were invited there to celebrate their Chinese New Year tradition.
They taught us about the Chinese New Year's. We ended up getting, what are those things called?
We made jiaozi, and we also learned how to do the calligraphy painting. Mine came out readable, Michael's did not. That's okay.
Remember the lady when you were making the gyoza? You were making it and she kept forcing you to eat more and more.
Well, not when we were making it, no.
Not when we were making it, but after
we were done. We all made it together, and then I even asked, and they said they threw that away because we were all touching it, and then they actually had some pre-made jiaozi, and they brought it in, and that is the dumplings that is traditional to eat during Chinese New Year. It represents everything coming together and wealth and prosperity. So,
and it was great. We did get some video on our phones and stuff, so I do have a lot of footage that's from the phones. We got some of that.
Pictures. But basically what happened, how it went down is that we had a couple days to teach in learning center. We had filing all set up. We had bust our butts working like 12 hours a day to get this all put together. And within 3 days, we heard the news about a potential really bad virus that was going around. And so we heard the news about this, and we actually went the previous night we had stayed up really late putting the learning center, more stuff the learning center put together, and then we had went to dinner at Eric and Emily's house, our host.
Yeah.
And she had family in town. She's originally from China, not per se the Shandong Weihai province, but she's originally from China. And I was feeling a little off, but I thought I was just tired, and I woke up the next morning with a really sore throat. I was very, feeling ill. I called Eric and let him know. I felt bad because I was worried I'd expose people to whatever this virus was. I don't think it was COVID. I think I just got sick. But basically, from that day on, I just stayed home and rest, of course. Michael still went and did a couple things, but from that day on, then they really pulled the plug on everything in China, and then everything just literally shut down. And I mean shut down.
Because at first we didn't know what was going on, and when it shut down and we finally started learning more about what was happening,
it could have been the zombie apocalypse for all we knew. So we were taking precautions big time. I mean, we were taking our clothes off as soon as we got home and putting them in the washer with bleach. I was spraying the floor with bleach, the bottom of our shoes were bleach. We were scrubbing our bodies in the shower when we got back from going out in the public. We were already wearing masks. We had been wearing masks anyway, just because of the weather mostly, but everyone was wearing masks. You didn't go anywhere without anyone wearing masks. And you know, it got scary. We didn't know what to expect. We had family back in the States worried about us. Of course, they were hearing similar things to what we were hearing. And then what happened was we got quarantined before anyone else did. We weren't allowed to go back to the learning center or anything, specifically because we were Americans.
Yeah, we had to stay in there.
They asked us to stay home in our apartment, and honestly, there was no place to go anyway. Then basically, you know, we were quarantined, and as the month was going on, as days were going by, it appeared that it was just getting worse and worse. This wasn't something that was going to clear up in a couple days. It was getting scarier and scarier in the media, and so Michael and I kind of decided that we needed to leave early, that we needed to leave China. We were originally scheduled to come back, I believe, on the 19th of February, and this was January 28th, I think, at this point. And so we thought, you know, I think that we should head back. Michael had a comedy special to film in Provo, Utah at Dry Bar.
That was like that was my biggest fear of, if we stay here and we wait this out, are we going to be able to come back?
Are we going to be able to come back? And if we come back, will we be quarantined? That was the other question. If we come back, will we have a 2-week quarantine, which would push all of our other dates that we already had planned after the February date back? It would screw them all up. So, yeah, we decided, I basically, as you'll see in some of the footage, I said, you know what, I'm just going to pack my bags. I'm going to be ready to leave at a moment's notice. The city was, you know, China really did a good job. They immediately shut everything down. Everybody wore masks. They bleached everything. I mean, everything. The whole city's reeked of bleach.
I mean, you couldn't even get from your area to another area.
So we called our host over, Eric, and we said to him, hey, you know, we think we want to leave early, which means somebody's got to pay for it. So essentially what happened was, luckily one of the other sponsors was nice enough to say, okay, well, we're going to get refunded for your other return flight, so we'll pay for this return flight and we'll do what we can to get you back. So Eric comes over and we find a flight that leaves out of Beijing, and we were worried because we already had heard that Beijing was basically getting shut down. So we were trying to figure out how to get from Weihai to Beijing. We were going to book a train, but that's also like 8 hours, and then we're 8 hours on a train with potential for exposure. And then he did some more digging. We found one, still went through Beijing and then back to the States. So we got that booked, but it got canceled. And it got canceled about the next day. So we thought, well, shit. So what we heard was Beijing was shutting down and they weren't going to be allowing people to come through. So now we were really nervous because that's one of the major hubs to get out. So we decided, well, can you just get us to Korea? Even if we can't get back to the States, can we at least just get to Korea? And so again, our host did some digging and they found a flight actually out of Weihai to Seoul, Korea, with a decent layover, and then we would be able to get back to the States. Well, what happened was we got back, when we flew back, even when we got to Korea, they were already doing temperature checks and scanning people as they came in. We already in Korea, and this is the end of February. Basically, we got back February 2nd, 2 days before the February 4th shutdown of entry back into the United States. So we did luck out. But they were already masking up and sanitizing and all this stuff. So it didn't surprise us when we got to Korea and saw that. We were able to spend some time in the business lounge thanks to an upgrade that really helped us have a very comfortable flight home.
And I love the business lounges.
The business lounges are great. So it was very interesting for us when we got back to Seattle. There was nothing. There was nobody wearing masks. We were all crammed in. We were continuing to wear our masks. We had changed out masks and we were still wearing our masks. Actually, we wore them all the way until we got to our hotel in Seattle. But we were really surprised that clearly we had come from China. Our ticket had said where we came from. No one asked if we were feeling unwell. No one asked for us to check in with them in 11 days. I mean, we could have been asymptomatic. We could have been super spreaders. And to that degree, we decided that we stayed in Seattle for almost 5 days so that we could get our heads back on. It's crazy, but we essentially quarantined ourselves. We would grab food, take it to go, and go back to our hotel room, and then we went to, we got a car, rented a car and drove to Spokane because we were obviously back in the States earlier than we were supposed to be. So we got a car and drove to Spokane and got a private Airbnb where, again, we grocery shopped. We wore masks. People were looking at us like we were crazy. And we quarantined just to make sure, because we were concerned.
So with that being our last few days in China, you know, even though it sucked and we wish we could stay back, you know, we wish we could have stayed there longer, we'll end up going back. We enjoyed ourselves. We had a great time.
We loved China.
We loved it.
It was
the
so
cat
great.
cafe, the coffee, the
even more than that, just like the culture in general was great.
There was just so much. Just walking around there.
We were definitely not happy that we had to come back early, but we felt that it was imperative that we did so. We still traveled. We traveled quite a bit in the United States before the March shutdown. We wore our mask when we went out traveling. Again, people were looking at us kind of like we were weird, but I thought, oh, you don't know what we've seen. And then we even went to LA. We went to Las Vegas, we went to Provo, and then we went to Florida. That was our pit stop, and then we were supposed to start a 6-month tour that went up through the United States, up and around the east side of Canada, and then back down. And it was literally canceled the day before we left.
It was an experience.
It was definitely an experience.
It was good.
Our host, Emily and Eric, are actually still in China. They've been there for over a year now. Emily being a national makes it easier. Eric did luckily get approved for the extensions in his stay free of charge because of the pandemic until, of course, they opened the country back up again. They always gripe you should have stayed in China because obviously China cleared things up a lot quicker than we did here.
I know. I was just messaging him like a week ago, and he's like, see, you left?
And so some, you know, like hindsight is, well, maybe we should have stayed, but also like we're really glad we came back. We're really glad that we were able to complete the stuff that we were able to before the country shut down. And I'm glad that I got to spend as much time with my family as I did because, you know, opportunities like that when you get older, unfortunately, don't always arise.
That's
yeah. Yeah, our intention was to film a lot more, but we just legitimately ran out of time. You are sweating like a old steam cooker.
And now we're in Georgia. We're in Georgia now. You'll see Las Vegas. You'll see California, and then you'll see me sweating all summer in Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So it's gonna be good.
Yeah.
Good night, everybody. Natasha and I are gonna be heading to bed, and then tomorrow we're gonna wake up, head to the airport, and finally head home. Well, not head home. We're gonna head to Seattle. So, good night.
Bye, China.
Goodbye, China.